Good afternoon, anti-novelists and friends. Welcome back to this episode of Zettelkasten for Fiction, where imagination finds order. That is for fiction writers. So, let's get back to where we left off yesterday. Yesterday's diagram, our little plot story model, left us here. We've given our main female character a name. Her name is Jen. And we've figured out how this meeting of the antagonist, which leads to our conflict, we've kind of laid out what that's going to look like, how that's going to happen. It doesn't mean this is going to stay this way forever. This is just a starting point for a story. If you are a plotter and you need a model to help you see the story so that you can move forward and do the writing. So I'm talking to my plotters here. So here we go. Let's say, now that we have our plot model, we need to start Zettelkastening that model, meaning those people. So I'm going to begin with a pink highlighter because in my world, I always highlight my characters on their cards so that when I'm flipping through my Zettelkasten looking for something, I know at a glance this is a female character related card. Or in this case, this is actually her. Now you may recall, yesterday, we named her Jen. So I'm going to name her Jennifer. Jen. What should we give her for her last name? How about Davis? I like JD as a nickname. Jennifer Davis, and she goes by Jen. So yesterday I talked you through creating some of those key descriptive elements. What does she look like? Where does she live? Etc. and so forth. I will give you a very specific breakdown for character development in my book, or if you want to see the series from about a year ago, so it is a little dated in the way that I do things now, but there is a playlist on my channel which is for character development, and it goes all the way through all 15 steps that I was using at that time. There's more steps now, but I think it's still valuable if you want to dig into character, so check that out. The important thing for us here is this number right here. So let's pretend for a moment that you have A, read Scott Scheper's book, or B, you are at least using his system of organization in your Zettelkasten. That means your numbers 1,000 through 5,000 are spoken for because you're using the academic disciplines for organizing that nonfiction material. In this case, we're still pretending your 6,000s are wide open because those aren't designated, like my novel lives in my 7,000s. So for your purposes, we're going to pretend like you have placed this book that you're writing in the 6,000s. If it were me, I would go maybe to 6,001 and make my /1 card this main female character. She's my main character. She's my main person. She's my protagonist. So she gets the /1. On my next card, we know from our story diagram that her mom figures prominently in the story early on. So I'm going to make the next card 6001/1.A, because this is the first person of significance behind my main character, right? It's her mom. So then I would go in and I would do my character development. Obviously, I'm going to give it a little pink so that I know that that's a female character related character. I'm going to give her mom a name. We're just going to pretend like I did that. And I'm going to go through that exercise of some of that character development, those early on details. Anything about mom that stands out to me as important, that captures for me who she is as a character, any of those details I'm going to put on this card. Next person is her sidekick. So you'll notice I'm going to give her sidekick the /1.B card. So sidekick goes right behind mom. And again, I'm going to color code that pink so I know at a glance who this character relates to. For me, my characters branch off of each other. So I've got my main female lead and my main male lead, and the people related to each of them branch off behind them. So that makes sense to me. You have to do what makes sense to you. So make it your own. I'm just walking you through what it could look like if you go this route. So my first 3 cards, I've got my /1, which is my main female, my 1.A, which is her mom, and my 1.B, which is her sidekick, maybe her best friend. We don't know yet. We're still working on that. The next person of importance is her mentor. I've given mentor the 1.C card. See where I'm headed there? And they're going to get a pink. And I'm going to go through that exercise and fill out the details. Then I've given her boss the 1/D card. See, this is not rocket science, guys. Do what makes sense to you. The important thing is to get those numbers on the cards as early as possible so that as you develop more of your story, those cards just go in behind where they belong. Like maybe I'm going to have a card which is the boss's henchman or potentially the boss's wife. I don't know. But that 1.D card may get a /1 after it, and I'm going to keep building off of this branch. See how that works? Easy peasy. Now, we come to a departure in my numbering where these are all 6001/1, indicating they're under my main female. My next card, I have numbered 6005. Now, why do you think I did that? Okay, I'll tell you. It's because I want a gap, okay? I want my 6001 cards to be my she. Maybe my 6002 is going to be my male protagonist. Like maybe it's her partner, whatever, romantic interest. I don't know yet because we haven't figured that out. But the important thing to me is I want some space between her and the way that her world is going to develop and this antagonist. Now, in my novel, all of my antagonist and antagonistic forces are orange, so I'm going to stick with that conceit here. And then I'm just going to give them that 6005, and I'm going to give them a /1, just like I did for Jen. Okay, so this is my main bad guy, my main antagonist, and they're getting a /1. Now, you may be asking, okay, what about the villain? Very good question, because we know from our other explorations of character that an antagonist does not necessarily have to be a villain. It doesn't even have to be a person. You can have an antagonistic element, or sometimes called an antagonist by proxy, which could be the weather. It could be some other kind of obstacle or challenge. It could just be another person who stands in the way of something that your main character is trying to accomplish. Like maybe this person doesn't want that main character to pursue a particular romance because this person happens to know that the object of that main character's romance is a real jerk. And so it's not that the antagonist is a bad person or a villain or even anything evil. They just don't want their friend to get hurt. So they're going to antagonize them away from that romance, okay? But we'll get to those kinds of interactions later. Suffice it to say for now, I've given 6005/1 the first card in what I would consider my bad guy cards. So maybe I'm going to continue down the road of looking at how this story could unfold and what elements I need. And maybe I'm going to get over here to like the 8th or even the 12th thing that I'm thinking needs to happen. And somewhere in that section, I'm going to go, ooh, that is my villain. Now I've got it. Well, then I'm going to go back over here to my 6005s, and maybe I'm going to give it a /5, right? So it's just going to separate that villain a little bit from the /1, which is just a minor antagonist. So the villain's going to have their own spot in the box. So see how those things start to unfold? All you're doing is just looking at your story model, figuring out the kinds of things that need to happen, giving yourself a visual for what they look like, and then you're going to go in and you're going to fill out your character cards. Now, the last thing that you must do, don't forget this step, is to hightail it over to your index, whether you're keeping your index in A to Z cards or you're doing it in a notebook with tabs A to Z like I do. Whatever you do, you must install these cards, okay? So I'm going to go to J for Jennifer, and I'm going to give her the number 6001/1. Maybe I'm also going to go for D for her last name, Davis, Jennifer, and I'm going to enter that number again. That way, any way that I think about her, whether it's first name, last name, when I go to those letters, I'm going to find that this is where her cards live. And then I'm going to do the same thing for all the rest of them. Whatever I name her mom, could just be under M for mom right now. I'm going to enter mom's number so I know where mom's character cards live. And so on and so forth all the way through the process. Now, again, for antagonist, maybe you just know that this character exists, but you don't have the details fleshed out. That's okay. just go to A for antagonist, maybe enter the working title of your story so that you know who this antagonist belongs to, what book that you're writing, and enter that number so that you can find that antagonist again. Or you could even go to J under your Jen and enter Jen/antagonist number 1 and enter this number. So the way that you link and cross-reference your numbers is entirely up to you. It has to make sense to you for what you're going to think about when you go back to look at these or find these cards. So I'm going to leave you there for today. Any person that you have added as a piece in your story model, I want you to create them a card, and I want you to give those cards a number, and then I want you to go through the exercise of installing those A to Z into your index. That way you know where all of these characters live. You can go right to your index and find them. So we are barking down the finish line of actually starting to write your story. You could literally do this exercise in an afternoon and have the first part of your story kind of figured out, map out those characters on your character cards, and then zingo. You could start writing the same day or the next day. This process does not have to be long and involved. It's just a way to get that story moving, get it captured on the page, and then start doing the writing. So I'm going to leave you there for today. Tomorrow we will continue down the road of this process, what each branch of the process could look like as it grows, and I'm just going to keep walking you through it. So thank you as always for each and every one of you. I'm so grateful to have you with me. Today was a great writing day. I got almost 2,000 words added on the hero and the heroine's journey and what those systems of story look like. So that was awesome. Yesterday, not such a great writing day. I got some good reading done. I got some research done, but it was just kind of tough. So coming back here and meeting up with you guys and knowing that you're out there and that you're cheering me on truly means the world. I love having you with me on this journey because I'm doing this for you. I want to see you get your book written so that I can hold your book in my hands. That's my goal. I'll leave you there for today, and I will see you tomorrow.